The list of candidates for the Arizona Cardinals to interview is growing longer by the day. One name not on the list, but the hottest name out there is John Harbaugh. Don't hire John Harbaugh. Why? Let's discuss.
You are Locked On Cardinals, your daily Arizona Cardinals podcast. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
Locked On Cardinals, Alex Clancy here. Thanks for making Locked On Cardinals your first listen, now part of the number one sports podcast platform in Locked On. I still can't believe it is. I can believe it, but it's just unbelievable to be a part of Jam Show today. Again, is Kyler Murray returning? This is going to be a little breadcrumb drops into tomorrow's show, where I will be leading the show off with that, among other conversations about head coaches, etc. The list of interviewers and requests to interview for the Arizona Cardinals head coaching position is growing longer by the day. There are now, I believe, 7 names as of a couple hours ago. We'll run them down, pros and cons. Still, broad overview here. Like, I'm going to be doing much more in-depth conversations as this progresses, but this is very new. There's a lot of theory behind it. It's not as simple as bingo, bango, grab, put these two guys together, and now you've got your coordinators and your head coach for the future. It's a lot more in depth than that. And there is a name, according to some books, that is leading the charge to take over the Arizona Cardinals head coaching position, and it's an interesting interdivision name, and it may not be the one that you think. But first, the Cardinals cannot hire John Harbaugh. I'll explain. The numbers look good. Let's go more in depth than that. Today's episode of Locked On Cardinals is brought to you by FanDuel. The wild card round is here, and FanDuel is officially in playoff mode. So visit FanDuel, an official sportsbook partner of the NFL, and grab your profit boost pack every NFL playoff game day. John Harbaugh, by the numbers, excellent head coach. Excellent. Since taking over for the Baltimore Ravens in 2008, 180 and 113, one Super Bowl win. I believe it was 2012 was the year. Happened in 2013, but it was 2012. Multiple 12 playoff appearances and 13 and 11 in the playoffs. We know what the Ravens have been. Okay, they've been an institution. They are an institution. And I thought long and hard about this because, everybody's got their thoughts. Well, it's got to be John Harbaugh. John Harbaugh is going to be the most expensive, but also he's the one that has the most experience, which is true, obviously, by and large. He's had the most success, winning season after winning season after winning season, regardless of if Lamar Jackson has been healthy or not the last couple of seasons. I get all that. He hasn't had a whole lot of offense to be able to, utilize surrounding Lamar Jackson. Obviously, they added Derrick Henry recently. They've had Mark Andrews, but they haven't had a whole lot. They've really relied on the defensive firepower that wasn't there this year, but they still almost won the division. And, the last couple big plays that decided seasons were failures by players and not by the coach. Mark Andrews drop, Zay Flowers fumble on the goal line pretty much, and then Tyler Loop missing the 44-yard field goal, I think it was, in Pittsburgh a couple days ago for them to lose the division. With that said, John Harbaugh came from the special teams area of an NFL team, okay? Which is fine. Good, bad, indifferent, doesn't really matter. He's not like this guru. He doesn't have a defensive scheme that's impenetrable. He doesn't have this powerful offense that is undefendable, indefendable, undefendable, indefendable, undefendable, whatever it is. And I know the CEO head coach is all the rages, the loose definition. It's becoming, more and more of a thing, which is fine. It works at times. But he's never called plays. He's never been a defensive guy or an offensive guy. They've been pretty conservative offensively. And I think there are better options out there. For the price, for sure. And the biggest one, for me, not the biggest, reasons outside of just that. His age, 63 years old, sneaky. I hope I look like that when I'm 63. The oldest head coach that's in the playoffs right now is 46, and it's Matt LaFleur. This is more than ever a younger man's NFL. Coordinators, different. Head coach, outside of like Andy Reid and, a couple others, like, this is a younger man's game now. And this isn't an ageist thing where it's like, oh, he's 63. Nope. Absolutely not. But it's just another, evolution of the NFL where, Sean McVay and Kyle Shanahan and all these guys, they were, obviously significantly younger than 47 when they really stuck their, feet in the NFL. They were very, very young. They were in their early 20s, I think, mid-20s. But I think if you're going to really shift trajectories, you've got to stay younger. You've got to stay younger. He almost got fired, I think, the year they won the Super Bowl. I think that it was around that time John Harbaugh did. I think they bet on Joe Flacco, or Joe Flacco bet on himself, and then he got the $100 million contract. And I believe around that time they were going to fire John Harbaugh. It was a while ago, but he's been there for a long time. And above all that, let me read the list of coordinators that he's had since being there. This list, while, not the most incredible of all time, is pretty dang good. So Greg Madison, defensive coordinator. So that was 2009, 2010. And then he goes, Chuck Pagano, ended up being a pretty good head coach. Dean Pease, who is well regarded as one of the better defensive coordinators in history. Not, first ballot Hall of Famer, but he is a well-respected guy. He did it for 6 seasons. And then Wink Martindale, remember him? You know him? Yeah, he's pretty good at what he does. Mike McDonald for 22 and 23. He's not a bad head coach. He doesn't run a bad defense. And then Zach Orr, who's been of late, who is the weakest of all of them. But to Zach Orr's credit, like, he had a pretty big shoes to fill with the lineage of defensive coordinators. That also helped that, Ray Lewis was there for 5 years. They had an all-world defense. They draft incredibly well. Ozzie Newsome is one of the more, one of the stronger foundational pieces from a front office perspective. Like, it is one of the more stable organizations. Those coordinators, those drafts, it helped. Offensively, here's a list from 2008. Cam Cameron. Cam Cameron, for those that forget, was one of the hot button dudes from an offensive perspective in the late, whatever 2000 to 2010 is. Do they call it the aughts? I hate that, but it doesn't matter. 2008, 2012. Jim Caldwell, 2012, 2013, ended up being a pretty good head coach. Gary Kubiak, you know him, Super Bowl winner. Mark Trestman, 2015 to 2016. Marty Morningwig, 2016 to 2018. Greg Roman, 2019 to 2022. So Greg Roman's going to be the one. This was the Lamar Jackson ushering in after being drafted in 2018. It's like, all right, you got to figure out an offense where you can run the damn ball because that's Lamar Jackson's strong suit. And they did. Greg Roman, pretty good offensive coordinator. And then he's now with, Jim Harbaugh in LA. They're in the playoffs. And then Todd Monken the last couple of years. So this is not taking away from the record, 180 and 113, from the postseason presence, 12 times, and from the overwhelming success that he's had as a head coach. What it is doing is looking at a situation closer to a Nick Sirianni, in my opinion, where it's like, you know what? You got a stable organization. You've got a front office that will go get players who will draft extremely well. And all you've got to do is steer the stadium. You got to steer the team. Obviously, he's a good leader. He's a stable force. But I think with the price tag, on top of like massive uncertainty as to like what this offense and defense is going to look like with the new coordinators, you got to go younger. You got to go more malleable for the future. And again, these sound like cliche things to fill time. They're not. It's what it is right now. It's uncomfortable being uncertain and uncomfortable not knowing what the next steps are going to be. So you got to just kind of be like, you know what? This is a placeholder. We will iron out what this should look like down the road once they get a little bit more of an indicator on what the hell the Arizona Cardinals are going to be in 2026. One thing they shouldn't be is led by John Harbaugh. Locked On Cardinals, your team every day. There's a big list of potential candidates that the Cardinals have requested interviews with and who they've scheduled interviews with. We'll break down the list next. Locked On Cardinals, your team every day. This episode of Locked On Cardinals is brought to you by Ultimate QB. So here's the thing. I'm infatuated with this game. Okay, let me tell you what it's about. So draft pick positions are set, and so many teams are looking for their franchise quarterback. Have you ever wished of being a pro QB, getting drafted first overall by the Arizona Cardinals? Well, now you can. There's a mobile game just for you called Ultimate QB Football Legend. In the game, you step into the cleats of a number one draft pick quarterback, and it's your job to lead your team to greatness to help turn a failing franchise into a dynasty. Mimicking reality. This is the number one quarterback career mode game on the mobile app stores, and it introduces the most realistic environment with full career control. Sign contracts, train, and upgrade yourself, build chemistry, and evolve your teammates. Give input to your GM on roster moves, play the actual game in 2D, and rise through the ranks to become a pro football legend. You'll deal with the ups and downs of a quarterback career, from rookie nerves to playoff drama, and every choice shapes your journey. Ultimate QB is totally free to play, has no ads, and works 100% offline. Perfect for when you want to sneak in a quick game or two on the go. And just head over to the ultimate-qb.com. That's ultimate-qb.com, or search for Ultimate QB in your app store. We've got something special for you guys. Just use promo code LOCKEDON, all caps, in the game store to get a free boost at the start of your career. Ultimate QB Football Legend. QB1, it's your legacy. Today's episode of Locked On Cardinals is also brought to you by ZocDoc. Finding a doctor you actually like can feel like discovering a diamond in the rough. You want someone in network, nearby, with availability, but you always want a doctor who really listens, make you feel comfortable, explains things clearly, and helps you walk up feeling confident about your next step. Your diamond in the rough doctor exists, and finding them is easy with ZocDoc. ZocDoc is a free app and website that helps you find and book high-quality in-network doctors so you can choose someone you truly connect with. I love that you can filter and search for specialty or symptoms and quickly find the right fit. The real-time availability means you can book instantly with no phone tag. Stop putting off these doctor's appointments. Go to ZocDoc.com/LockedOnNFL to find and instantly book a doctor you love today. That's ZocDoc.com/LockedOnNFL, ZocDoc.com/LockedOnNFL. Thanks to ZocDoc for sponsoring this podcast. Please go to the YouTube channel, search Locked On Arizona Cardinals, hit that subscribe button, man. You know the drill. I've been doing a little more sing-songy during live reads and stuff. I don't know what the hell that's all about. So the Cardinals have a list, a handful of guys that they've requested interviews with, a handful of men that they've scheduled interviews with. Here's the list as of a couple hours ago. Candidates that they've scheduled interviews with: Vance Joseph, Anthony Weaver, Dolphins DC, Chiefs OC Matt Nagy, and Raheem Morris. Okay. You understand why I was saying that Jonathan Gannon bringing him back wasn't like the absolute 100% worst thing on the planet. And then they've requested interviews with Robert Saleh, Seahawks OC Clint Kubiak, and Patriots pass game coordinator Thomas Brown. So, yuck. Should we just say that together? Yuck. Is that what we should all say together? Is yuck? Now, that's not necessarily fair. Vance Joseph has led the number one, top 5 defense for the last couple seasons in Denver. They've had a very stout defense. He's done his thing. Even when he was here with Cliff, I always said, people had always mocked him for not being able to elevate talent. They didn't have a whole boatload of talent to be able to elevate when you're drafting Isaiah Simmons, and, it just wasn't fantastic. So Vance Joseph coming in is one that scares me more than others. And it's not scares me because, again, good coordinator, but the familiarity there, while it would lend to think, oh, that's a positive. He's been here. He's had paychecks signed by Michael Bidwell, and he knows what he's coming into and all those things. And, he'll bring in, a bright offensive mind to call the offense, whatever it is. Like, it just, the familiarity terrifies me a little bit. Raheem Morris just fired. They went on a run. Like, this is fascinating. Raheem Morris did what Jonathan Gannon needed to do to save his job, even though they were out of playoff contention weeks and weeks before the end of the season. They won a bunch of games at the end of the year, and, they fired him anyways, but now that momentum allows for more positive looks this offseason when obviously looking for a new job. Dolphins DC Anthony Weaver, like, they've been hurt all year, so I don't know much about him yet. Obviously still need to do research on these guys. But the ones who they haven't, and Chiefs, Matt Nagy, I know that he had a winning record as a head coach, but their offense was terrible since he's taken over for Eric Bieniemy, comparatively speaking, in Kansas City. I just don't, I would steer clear. I would steer clear. So the more interesting names are ones that have been requested but not scheduled yet. Robert Saleh, DC for the 49ers, Clint Kubiak, Seahawks OC, and the pass game coordinator, Thomas Brown for the Patriots. This is fascinating to me because I think they're interviewing him maybe not for the head coaching job. Obviously, you'd interview him for the head coaching job, but you could be looking at an OC there. Patriots pass game is pretty good this year. Pretty good. It's Josh McDaniels' offense, obviously. It's the Patriots coaching tree. It's Monty Osborne was, with New England for several Super Bowls. So it would make sense. Maybe you bring him in. Maybe that's your first time OC that you bring in if you hire a defensive-minded head coach. Learning from Josh McDaniels is a terrible head coach. Is he the best offensive coordinator of all time? Maybe. He's had Tom Brady, which helps. But he took Tim Tebow to the playoffs as a head coach, which was insane in Denver. And then Robert Saleh, listen, is he the best option? Is he the best option? He's had head coaching experience. They had a really good defense in New York. Their offense was awful. Their offense was terrible. And then, Aaron Rodgers came in, so that was fun. Popped his Achilles, and then you're dealing with backups and stuff, and it's the Jets. So would Robert Saleh want to come here after going to the Jets, another dysfunctional organization? I don't know. Clint Kubiak, interesting. He's, according to some, he's the favorite to land the Cardinals job. Now, this is interesting. Okay. Family history in the NFL. High-powered offense in Seattle that was able to home and house a alpha wide receiver 1, 2 running backs who got a lot of work and continued to resurrect Sam Darnold's career. Plus, at least in the interim, and at least for the first couple seasons, you got a leg up on a division rival. Now, that's not a reason to hire somebody. It's a perk. It's a perk. And that offense was very efficient this year. It was very efficient. They scored a lot of points on the Cardinals. They scored 60-plus points combined in the 2 games the Cardinals played them. I know the defense had 14 points to do with that, but it's interesting. The list is long. It's going to filter out. Obviously, the playoffs are still going on. They may want to interview guys that, they don't want to tamper with this time and wait till the playoffs are over to interview more guys. With the John Harbaugh thing, the moment he was fired, I guess, all the teams called. So the Cardinals have more than likely put a call in. I think you got to read more than just look at record and see the big picture and how good Harbaugh had. And that's not taking anything away from John Harbaugh. He's a Super Bowl winner. They won a whole bunch of games. I think he's much more Sirianni than people want to believe. Locked On Cardinals, your team every day. A little reprieve from the head coaching news. Jeremy Fowler, there are rumblings that Kyler Murray could be run back here with the new head coach. Is it a bad idea? We'll discuss it next. This episode of Locked On Cardinals is brought to you by FanDuel. The wild card round is here, and FanDuel is officially in playoff mode. Every game day during the NFL playoffs, FanDuel is giving even more ways to get in on the action for customers. Because right now, every NFL playoff game day, FanDuel users get a profit boost pack waiting for them inside the app. Each game day, you'll see a pack loaded with multiple profit boosts you can apply to the bets you like most. Open your profit boost pack first thing on game day and see what boost you want to apply. The boost lets you lean into your game day instincts, whether you're backing momentum, defense, quarterback, player, or coaching. The boosts give you more juice on the bets you already like instead of forcing you to bet something new. And every play feels bigger, and the boosts make your bets feel that way also. You make your picks and then apply your profit boost to go to even bigger payouts while the playoffs get rolling. So visit FanDuel, an official sports betting partner of the NBA or the NFL, and grab your profit boost pack every NFL playoff game day. How did we get here again? Please go to the YouTube channel, search Locked On Arizona Cardinals. You know the drill, man. Cardinal Squad show tonight. It'll be myself, Jameel Douglas, and a special guest filling in for Ben. That's 6 o'clock Arizona Cardinals time tonight. We haven't got to talk about Jonathan Gannon getting fired yet on that show, so we will lead off with that. Candidates, I'm sure they're going to rip me for saying to pivot away from John Harbaugh, but yeah, it's going to be fun. So there are still rumblings, little lingering things about Kyler Murray potentially being the quarterback in 2026 with the new head coach. And I think one of the biggest fallacies as humans that we have is you get knocked for changing your mind. You get knocked for when new information comes to light, Big Lebowski. You have to stick with what you said before. Otherwise, you are not as strong at what you do. And I think that's fallacy. And I don't think it's like, oh, if you believe that in people, you're bad. No, I don't. People can believe whatever they want. But with that, I was surprised that Jonathan Gannon got fired. Not that he shouldn't have, but I was surprised that he did. So I was under the impression that he was coming back, which means the end of Kyler Murray. Josh Weinfuss reported in some form or fashion a ways ago, less than 2 weeks ago, that there's a world where they could run it back with Kyler Murray if Jonathan Gannon and Monty Ossenfort were let go. Jonathan Gannon's let go. Monty Ossenfort's still here. There are conflicting reports on if Monty Ossenfort is a Kyler guy or not. I don't know. This will be the determining factor on that because he's under contract. It's only a $13 million difference, and I know it's $13 million. Okay, that's a 1 year or 2 year deal for, guaranteed money for a stud, or veteran pass rusher or whatever. So I know it's not nothing. But it's not like, okay, he makes $45 million and the dead cap hit is $90 million. It's not that, huge Grand Canyon gap there. It's palatable. But if you don't have to spend the extra $13 million, you bring him back with, I would not understand why it would be with a defensive head coach, though. So say Clint Kubiak comes in. He's like, all right, let's see my offense with Kyler Murray. And the worst thing that happens, if that's the case, is you bench him, you play Jacoby Brissett just like this year, and you move off Kyler Murray, and you probably got to cut him. Or you can trade him at the trade deadline or whatever it is. Or whatever. There's an injured player, injured quarterback, early in the season. I could get behind that. Because it's a no-lose situation. It's a no-lose situation. Because regardless of what you believe about Kyler Murray, and I still was in the camp that Jacoby Brissett was a better quarterback this year than Kyler, and, he was obviously injured the rest of the year, so we didn't even get to see some sort of competition. Compete. Make him compete in camp. Who cares? Unless you can get some sort of package for him that is impossible to say no to, there are worse options. Most options are worse, regardless of and this isn't, I know I'm going to get it. This isn't me just blindly defending Kyler Murray. Look at what else is out there. You're not drafting a quarterback at number 3 overall. You're not trading up to number 1 and getting the Mendoza kid. And the Moore kid ain't that good. I'm sorry. He's just not. #analysis. So when these reports don't go away, just got to listen. I'm not saying it's the best thing ever for that to happen. I'm not saying that. And you may, this is an historically bad quarterback class. There are a lot of teams that need a quarterback, and Kyler Murray would be far better than their quarterback situation then, and teams pay for that. It's not what you think Kyler Murray's worth. It's what the market determines his worth. That's what it is. So if you keep him, you got Jacoby Brissett under contract, you run it back, you see what happens but it's got to be an offensive minded. It's got to be an offensive head coach. This can't be Robert Saleh and a first-time offensive coordinator with Kyler Murray. May as well scrap the whole thing. So I'm not saying it's a good idea. I'm just saying it's not the worst idea. How about that? Locked On Cardinals, your team every day. Remember, without you, there is no Me Cardinal Squad Show tonight at 6 Arizona time, and I will talk to you on this fine show tomorrow.